Now let me say something clearly right from the start, because this matters. Reheated food does not automatically cause cancer. One plate of leftovers is not a disaster. One reheated meal does not mean you have harmed your body beyond repair. But certain foods, when they are cooked, cooled, stored, and reheated the wrong way, can create two major problems. First, they can increase the risk of foodborne illness, which becomes more dangerous after 60. Second, some foods, especially processed meats and foods repeatedly blasted with high heat, can expose your body to compounds that researchers and cancer specialists do not ignore. And that is why this conversation matters so much for seniors. After 60, the body changes in ways many people never fully appreciate. Stomach acid may be lower, digestion may slow down, the immune response may not be as quick or as strong. The kidneys and liver may not clear certain toxins as efficiently as they once did. That means a food mistake that once gave you nothing more than a mild stomach ache in your 40s can now leave you dehydrated, weak, dizzy, or even in the hospital. So when we talk about reheated foods after 60, we are not talking about perfection. We are talking about protection. Here's what most people get wrong. They think the danger starts when the food goes back into the microwave. But in many cases, the real danger started long before that. It started when the food sat on the counter too long. It started when the leftovers were packed away while still warm in one giant deep container. It started when a person reheated only the middle while the edges stayed cold. It started when something was browned, cooled, browned again, and then eaten anyway. Reheating is not always the problem by itself. The full journey of the food is the problem. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the reheated foods that deserve the most caution after 60. And I'm also going to show you the hidden mistakes that make them dangerous. Some of these may surprise you. Some may already be sitting in your fridge tonight. And by the end, you will know not only what to avoid, but how to reheat the right food safely so you can protect your strength, your energy, your digestion, and your peace of mind. Let's begin with one of the most common foods people get wrong, and that is reheated rice. Rice looks innocent, it smells mild, it feels harmless, and because it is cheap, filling, and easy to make in large batches, millions of people cook it once and then keep eating it for days. But rice can be one of the sneakiest leftovers in your kitchen. Why? Because rice can contain a bacteria called Bacillus cereus. And this is where the danger becomes deceptive. Even after cooking, certain spores can survive. Then if the rice sits out too long at room temperature, those spores can multiply and produce toxins. Here is the part that shocks many people. Once those toxins are produced, simply reheating the rice may not save you. In other words, the microwave may make the rice hot, but it may not undo the damage already created by poor storage. That is why some people eat reheated rice and within hours feel nausea, cramping, vomiting, or diarrhea, and have no idea the rice was the problem. They blame the restaurant, they blame their stomach, they blame age, but the real issue may have been that bowl of rice sitting on the counter after dinner or hanging around too many days in the refrigerator. And after 60, this matters even more. Because fluid loss from vomiting or diarrhea can hit harder. Weakness comes faster. Recovery takes longer. A younger person might bounce back in a day. An older adult can become depleted much more quickly. So if rice was left out too long, if you are unsure when it was cooked, if it smells even slightly off, or if it has been reheated before and then put back in the fridge, do not take the gamble. A few spoonfuls are not worth the risk. When it comes to reheated rice, uncertainty is your warning sign. Now, right beside rice sits another food people underestimate, and that is pasta. Pasta has a similar problem. Like rice, it is starchy, it is often cooked in large amounts, and it is commonly left sitting too long after a meal. Plain pasta, creamy pasta, pasta salad, noodles from takeout, all of these can become a problem if they are not cooled and stored quickly. Again, the issue is not that pasta is evil. The issue is that starchy leftovers can become a comfortable home for bacteria when temperature control is poor. And once you are over 60, that is not something to brush off casually. Let me be even more specific. A lot of seniors will reheat pasta until the top is hot, then eat it while the center is still lukewarm. That is a mistake. Uneven reheating leaves parts of the dish in that temperature range where bacteria are happiest. And if the pasta includes cream, cheese, chicken, seafood, or ground meat, the risk rises even more because now you are not just dealing with noodles. You are dealing with a full combination dish that can spoil in multiple ways. So reheated pasta is not always unsafe, but reheated pasta that was stored poorly or heated unevenly can absolutely be a problem. Next, let's talk about potatoes, because this is another area where confusion is everywhere. You may have heard people say, never reheat potatoes. That statement by itself is too simple. The truth is not that potatoes magically become poisonous when reheated. The real issue is how they were handled before reheating and how aggressively they are cooked again. A baked potato wrapped in foil and left out too long is not the same as a boiled potato chilled properly. A tray of fries browned again and again is not the same as a gently reheated plain potato. But here is where seniors need to pay attention. Potatoes are often used in dishes that get reheated harshly. Think of French fries, fried potatoes, hash browns, roasted potato wedges, and heavily browned breakfast potatoes. The more these starchy foods are pushed into deep browning or dark crisping, the more they can form compounds that experts monitor closely, including acrylamide in certain high-heat cooked starchy foods. Now, I want to be responsible here. This does not mean one reheated potato causes cancer. It does not. But making a habit of repeatedly over-browning these foods is not something a wise person ignores. So if you are over 60 and you love leftover potatoes, the safer approach is simple. Reheat them gently. Do not chase that deep, dark crisp every single time. Do not take yesterday's fries and fry them again until they are almost burnt. Do not eat potatoes that sat too long in the danger zone because they still look okay. Some of the most harmful food decisions are made because people trust their eyes more than food safety. Food can look normal and still be wrong. That is especially true with leftovers. Now let's move to a category that deserves even more respect after 60, and that is deli meats, cold cuts, hot dogs, and sliced lunch meats. These are foods many older adults grew up trusting. They are easy, convenient, soft to chew, and simple to prepare. But for seniors, these foods carry a risk that should never be brushed aside. When eaten cold straight from the package or deli counter, they can expose vulnerable adults to bacteria such as Listeria, which can be especially serious in older age. That is why many food safety experts say these meats should be heated until steaming hot for people in higher risk groups. And let's pause there for a second, because this surprises many people. They think, but it's already cooked. Yes, many deli meats are cooked during processing. That is not the whole story. Contamination can happen later during packaging, slicing, transport, or storage. So if you are over 60 and you take out cold turkey slices, ham slices, bologna, salami, or hot dogs and eat them cool or only slightly warmed, you are taking a chance your body may no longer tolerate well. This does not mean you can never enjoy them. It means they deserve more care than most people give them. Now, here is where the conversation becomes even more important. Processed meats are not only a short-term food safety issue, they are also a long-term health issue. Bacon, sausage, ham, salami, pepperoni, and many cured meats have been linked over time to higher cancer risk, especially colorectal cancer. And once again, I want to keep this medically honest. This is not about one sandwich. It is not about fear of a single breakfast. It is about repeated habits. It is about what happens when highly processed meats become routine. And then on top of that, they are fried, browned, charred, and reheated again and again. Think about how people actually eat these foods. Bacon gets cooked, cooled, reheated in a skillet, then maybe reheated again in a microwave the next day. Sausage patties get browned hard, saved, and browned again. Leftover ham gets fried in a pan until the edges curl and darken. Pepperoni pizza gets reheated until the meat blisters. Over time, this repeated high heat treatment may not be doing your body any favors. Cancer experts have long warned that processed meat itself deserves limitation, and very high heat cooking of meats can create additional compounds that raise concern in research. This is why I say to seniors, never be casual with reheated processed meat. If you are going to eat it, let it be occasional. Let it be properly stored. Let it be reheated thoroughly, not repeatedly. And do not treat dark, crispy, almost burnt edges as a sign of flavor victory. Many people were taught that deeply browned meat means delicious. But sometimes what tastes strongest is not what serves your body best, especially not after 60, when your goal should be preserving strength, digestion, heart health, and long-term resilience, not just satisfying a craving in the moment. Now let's talk about reheated chicken, because this is one of the most common leftover proteins in the world. Roast chicken, rotisserie chicken, grilled chicken breast, chicken casserole, chicken soup, chicken stir-fry, they all end up in the refrigerator. And chicken can be perfectly safe as leftovers when handled correctly. But chicken is also a food people tend to underestimate because they assume once it was fully cooked the first time, the danger is over. It is not. Chicken must be cooled promptly, stored safely, and reheated all the way through. Lukewarm chicken is not safe just because it used to be hot yesterday. Here is the problem. Chicken often dries out when reheated, so people try to warm it lightly to keep it tender. They heat it just enough to feel pleasant, not enough to be truly safe. That may preserve texture, but it can create risk. Other times, a person tears off a piece of cold rotisserie chicken and snacks on it after it has been sitting out during meal prep. Or they leave the chicken soup on the stove too long before refrigerating it. These are the ordinary, everyday habits that create food trouble. Not dramatic mistakes, just familiar little shortcuts repeated over time. And for seniors, the consequences can be bigger than expected. Foodborne illness is not always just an upset stomach. It can mean dehydration, confusion, weakness, dizziness, low appetite, and setbacks that linger for days. If you are already managing blood pressure issues, diabetes, medication timing, or reduced appetite, one bad food episode can knock your whole routine off balance. That is why leftover chicken deserves